Have you ever sat alone, quietly looking back at your life, and suddenly wondered, will anyone remember me when I'm gone? I've heard that question from so many people over the years. Fathers who spent their lives sacrificing for their families. Mothers who gave their entire youth raising children. People who once held important roles in their companies, communities, and society. And now, when things have slowed down, they begin to feel like they're quietly fading. The phone doesn't ring as often. No one asks for their opinion like they used to. The same room they've sat in for decades now feels silent. And the face in the mirror reflects a very human question. If I were gone tomorrow, would the world really notice? Truth is, that's a very natural question, especially as we move into the second half of life. I once had a Buddhist student in his 60-second share with me. Master, I used to think I had to leave something behind, an achievement, a legacy, a name. But the older I get, the more I feel like a closed book. Someone read it once and forgot it. I looked at him and smiled gently. Then I told him a story from the Zen tradition. Long ago, in a small monastery nestled deep in the mountains, there lived a humble old monk, respected deeply by all the villagers. He didn't teach from grand texts. He taught through how he lived, quietly, compassionately, and with deep presence. One day, a young disciple asked him, "Master, you've never written anything down. You've left no records. When you pass away, will anyone even remember you?" The monk was silent. He pointed toward the stream flowing behind the monastery. "Do you remember how the water flowed yesterday?" The disciple looked confused and shook his head. "But today," the monk continued, "you see the same stream nourishing the trees, cooling the earth, and watering the flowers." The disciple nodded, and the monk said, "I don't need my name remembered. I only need what I gave to still be here somewhere in someone's heart. That is enough." That, my friend, is also what I want to share with you today. The truth is, we will be forgotten much sooner than we think. The articles we wrote, the titles we held, the stories we told again and again, they will eventually fade from other people's memories. Our children grow up. Our friends age and move on. And this world, like a river, keeps flowing forward, with or without us. But that doesn't mean you are unimportant. In fact, it reveals something even more profound. Life was never meant to be a race to carve your name in stone. It's meant to awaken goodness in the hearts of those you meet, like one candle quietly lighting another and then disappearing into the glow. I often ask my students, can you remember the names of everyone who once made you feel deeply seen or loved? Most shake their heads. But when I ask, can you remember the kindness someone showed you? A moment of care, of tenderness, of unexpected generosity. Their eyes light up, and I say to them, that is how we remain, not by name, but by the warmth we leave behind in someone's life. The Buddha once taught, all conditioned things are impermanent, like morning dew, like bubbles on water. But a heart that gives with love never truly disappears. I believe the most valuable thing you can leave behind is not wealth or recognition. It's not what's written in history books. It's what's etched in someone's heart. It's those small, sacred moments when you truly showed up, when you listened without judgment, when you held someone's hand during a hard time, or simply smiled at a stranger who needed hope. These moments don't need to be recorded because they are remembered in the heart. And if you're feeling like you're slowly being forgotten, please don't be sad, because sometimes when we step away from the spotlight, that's when we finally begin to shine from within. Old age is not the final chapter. It is the most reflective, most profound, most meaningful part of the journey, where every word becomes more deliberate, every gesture more sincere, every breath more sacred. You don't have to leave behind a name. Just leave behind a feeling. You don't need to be written into history. Just make someone, anyone, feel seen, loved, and not alone. And even if your name is no longer spoken one day, the love you gave, the kindness you embodied, they will still be flowing, like yesterday's water sinking into the roots of a tree whose flowers bloom today. If these words speak to your heart, I invite you to sit quietly for just a moment and ask yourself, today, what is one beautiful thing I can offer someone else? It doesn't need to be grand. Maybe it's a thank you, a phone call, a gentle glance filled with gratitude, because that is a true legacy. It doesn't need to be carved in stone. It only needs to be planted from the heart. Have you ever had one of those mornings when getting out of bed just feels slower than it used to? Your knees don't move quite as smoothly. Your once strong hands tremble a little when pouring a cup of tea. You catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror, and suddenly the person looking back doesn't feel quite like you anymore. If you've ever felt that way, please know this: you're not alone. I've sat with many people in their 50-second, 60-second, 70-second. They didn't come to me looking for complex philosophy. They simply said things like, "Master, I feel like my body is starting to abandon me. And I always meet that pain with warmth, because I truly believe your body isn't betraying you, it's simply shifting roles." The Buddha once taught, this body is impermanent, a burden that must be carried with mindfulness and loving kindness. Your body is not your enemy. It is the most faithful companion you've ever had. It was there when you were a child, running barefoot across your yard. It carried you through long workdays, raised your children, held you upright through heartbreak, illness, and joy. It sweated for you when you forgot to eat. It ached when you pushed too hard. It stayed with you even when you didn't listen to its quiet cries for rest. And now, as it begins to slow down, it isn't giving up on you. It's reminding you of something more important. Slow down, hear me, thank me, take care of me as I have taken care of you. I often compare the body to an old clay pot. When it was new, it was smooth, bright, and whole. But over time, it cracked and chipped here and there. Some people look at that pot and feel sadness, wishing it could be like before. But someone with a mindful eye sees the opposite, because it's through the cracks that water seeps into the earth, nourishing trees, cooling the ground, helping flowers bloom. Your body is just like that. Even if it's no longer as flexible or strong, it can still hug a grandchild, still hold the hand of someone you love, still sit quietly beside someone in silence, offering more compassion than any words ever could. Once, a 73-year-old woman came to join a meditation retreat I was leading. She said to me, "Master, I come with a bent back, aching legs, and shallow breath, but I don't want to give up my practice." I smiled and said, "You don't need to sit like a young person. Just sit with sincerity. You don't need to go far, just go gently. You don't need deep breaths, just honest ones. We don't need to chase the old version of ourselves. The person who truly needs your love and care is the person you are right now. Not the 30-year-old you, not the I used to be so strong version, but the you of today with slower hands, softer eyes, but a heart that is more compassionate than ever." Did you know, in Japan, there's an art form called kintsugi, where they repair broken pottery with gold. They don't hide the cracks. They highlight them, because to them, the cracks don't make the pot less beautiful. They make it one of a kind. Your body is like that. The scars, the wrinkles, the slower pace don't take away your beauty. They tell the story of what you've lived through, of the sicknesses you've recovered from, the children you've carried, the lonely winters, the loving springs, When your body starts to change, you have two choices. One, fight it, resent it, deny it, blame it. Or two, listen to it. Walk with it with gentleness and respect. Eat more slowly because digestion isn't what it used to be. Rest when you're tired because there's nothing left to prove. And smile at yourself in the mirror and say, "Thank you for carrying me through all these years." I once told my older students, youth is for conquering, but aging is for transforming. Maybe your body can't run like it once did, but maybe now it can finally sit still. Maybe you can't climb mountains, but maybe now you can explore the inner depths of your being. And maybe you can't do everything you used to, but maybe now you can become a quiet light for others. If today you feel your body slowing down, if you feel less comfortable, less capable, please don't be angry at it. Place your hand gently on your chest. Take a deep breath and whisper to your body, "I know you've worked hard. Now, let's go together slowly, but mindfully, because you are not what is aging. You are the one watching the aging, with compassion, with understanding, and with a kind of inner freedom that only comes when we stop resisting." If these words touch something in you, take a little time today to simply listen to your body. You don't have to change everything. Just begin with something small. A moment of rest, a breath of gratitude, a bit of kindness toward the body that has walked with you through every year, every joy, every storm. So, are you ready to walk a little slower, but with more tenderness than ever before? Have you ever sat quietly one late afternoon and suddenly found yourself thinking of someone? A friend who no longer calls, a family member who used to be so close but now feels 1,000 miles away, not just in distance, but in spirit. Or someone who once loved you deeply, and now all that remains is a silent emptiness. I remember sitting with an older gentleman well into his 62nd. His voice was soft, and his eyes carried something heavy. He told me, "I don't understand, Master. That friend and I were like brothers. We went through so much together, but now it's like he just drifted away. Fewer calls, then none at all." I looked at him gently and asked, "Have you ever watched a river flow?" He nodded. I continued, "Some droplets of water travel side by side for a long time. Others part ways almost immediately. But the river never stops flowing, just like love never truly disappears." You know, in all my years working with older adults, I've come to see this. One of the deepest aches we carry as we age isn't illness. It isn't the body slowing down. It's the ache of disconnection. Someone who once meant the world to you is no longer there. Some moved away, some changed, some are gone for good. And it's so easy to turn inward and blame ourselves. Did I do something wrong? Was I too difficult to love? Why do people I care about always leave? But when we learn to look with the eyes of mindfulness, as the Buddha taught, we begin to see that no one ever truly belongs to us. All relationships are simply meetings along the stream of life. Some arrive like the morning sun, warm and gentle. Some sweep in like a breeze, brief but unforgettable. And some, though no longer with us, still live on. In a glance, a song, a cup of tea on a quiet morning. During a tea meditation I once led, I shared an old Zen story. A young novice once asked his teacher, "Master, why do people leave us, even when we love them deeply?" The teacher said nothing. He walked the boy to the edge of a river. Pointing to the flowing water, he asked, "Can you hold on to that drop of water?" The novice shook his head. "No, it's already gone." The teacher nodded. "Love is the same, my child. It flows. It isn't something to hold on to. When we love someone, we give them freedom, not a cage. And today, I want to say this to you, the one who might be missing someone who is no longer by your side. Love is not possession. It's presence real, sacred presence while it lasted. If you've ever loved someone truly, then even when they walk away, that love still flows within you, like rain that passes through. The earth can't hold the rain forever, but it holds the moisture. Your heart is the same. It may not keep the person, but it keeps the warmth, the memory, the meaning. The Buddha called this the impermanence of conditioned things. No relationship stays the same forever. The best friend can become a stranger. The distant person can one day become your sole companion. Because everything shifts like seasons, like weather, like the sea. I once met an elderly Japanese-American woman in her 82nd. She said to me, "Master, I used to feel so sad that my granddaughter doesn't call me anymore. But one day, while cleaning my closet, I found an old note she wrote when she was little. It said, 'Grandma, I love you forever.' I cried as I read it, because I realized she may not call anymore, but that love, I still carry it. You see, love doesn't need to be repeated every day to remain. It just needs to be held with mindfulness, and it stays warm inside the heart. So, if someone has left your life, it doesn't mean you're unworthy. It doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It simply means their role in your story has been fulfilled. Just like how we travel to beautiful places, take a few pictures, then move on. We may never return, but we're still grateful we once stood there. So, if your heart feels hollow right now, because someone you loved is no longer here, I want to gently invite you. Don't close your heart. Don't let one goodbye make you shut the door on the people who are still around. Because life is still bringing new connections, new souls to walk beside you, if your heart is still open. So tend to the bonds you still have. Smile at your neighbor. Call that friend you haven't spoken to in a while. And if you can say, "I care about you," even if it feels a little awkward. Because the truth is, everyone we love will eventually leave. But when love is given, it never truly leaves. It remains. In the soil, in the heart, in life itself. If these words resonate with you, stay with that feeling for a little while. Don't rush away from it. And remember this: you are not alone in your missing. You are not lost in your letting go. Because anyone who has truly loved has left something beautiful inside you, and that you carry with you always. There's one truth none of us can escape as we grow older. We begin to witness the people we love slowly leave us. Parents, siblings, lifelong friends. They were once part of our everyday life. And then one day, they become names we only mention in the past tense. But perhaps the greatest loss isn't when they leave this world. It's when we return home, look around, and realize their seat is empty. I once sat in meditation with a woman in her 72nd. After the session, she quietly wept and said to me, "Master, my husband passed away 5 years ago, but some mornings I still find myself pouring 2 cups of tea." I gently held her hand and said, "Maybe his body is no longer here, but the love you have for him has never left this kitchen." You see, love never dies. It only changes form. Sometimes it shows up in an old song that stops you in your tracks. Sometimes it's the meal you cook on a rainy afternoon because they always loved it on days like this. And sometimes it's the golden sunlight at the end of the day that reminds you of your mother's smile. And the thing is, that's not just memory. That's love, still alive, in you, through you, and because of your presence today. The Buddha once told the story of a woman named Kisa Gotami. She lost her only child, and the pain broke her. She wandered the village carrying her child's lifeless body, begging anyone for medicine to bring him back. No one could help until she reached the Buddha. He said to her, "Bring me a mustard seed from a home that has never known death." She went from door to door, but every home had lost someone, a father, a mother, a spouse, a child. By the end of the day, she understood. Death is not a punishment. It is a natural part of life. If love is true, it doesn't stay with the body. It doesn't lie in a grave. It doesn't sleep inside old photographs. It lives in your breath, in your gratitude, and in the way you pour your heart into each small act. I once asked an elderly student of mine, "Do you still love your wife 10 years after she passed?" He smiled sadly and said, "Master, every morning I still brew coffee for 2, though no one drinks the second cup." Then he added, "I don't do it because I can't move on. I do it because in that moment, I remember I still love her." You know, at a very deep level, every wound of loss is also a doorway, a crack through which love is no longer limited to just one person. It begins to expand. You find yourself softening toward others. You listen more. You cherish those who are still here because you understand what it means to lose someone forever. I truly believe the people we love never truly leave us. They just stop appearing in the same form, but they are still here. In how you love, in how you forgive, in how you keep living. Every time you retell a memory about someone you've lost, they come alive again. Every time you do a kind act because they once taught you to, they are present. Every time you sit quietly at sunset and feel someone beside you, though you can't see them, that's them whispering, "I never really left." The Buddha taught, death is not the end. It is a continuation in another form. And love, if it is selfless, transcends time and form. So, if you're living with a broken heart, please don't rush to patch it up by forgetting. Let the crack remain, because that's where the light comes in. Let love keep living through every choice you make. Like a flame passed from one hand to another, never dying, just changing keepers. I don't know who you've lost in your life, but I believe if you've ever truly loved someone, you haven't lost them. You're just carrying them now, more quietly, more deeply, more completely. And if today you feel the ache of their absence, do something to keep them alive through you. Write them a letter. Cook that meal they used to love. Say a kind word to someone in their honor. Because real love, it never disappears. It just changes shape. And sometimes it becomes even more powerful when they're no longer here. If your heart still hurts from goodbye, I invite you, don't resist the pain. Let it flow. Because in that gentle flow, you'll see love is still alive. In you, through you, and far, far beyond this moment. There are days when you sit alone in a quiet house. Everything around you feels the same. The familiar chair, the same ticking clock, your morning cup of tea, right where it always is. And yet something inside feels lost. It's not that you don't have people around. You may live with family. You may hear voices in the background. But there's this quiet ache because no one truly understands you. I once spoke with a woman in her 70s. She lived with her children and grandchildren. Her home was never empty. And yet, one afternoon, she looked at me with a soft, tired smile and said, "Master, sometimes I share an old story, but no one wants to hear it again. I speak my thoughts, and they just smile politely, and go back to scrolling their phones. I don't blame them, but sometimes I feel invisible. I sat quietly beside her for a while, then gently asked, "Even if others don't understand, do you understand yourself?" You see, aging doesn't always bring loneliness from the outside. Sometimes the deepest loneliness is simply the feeling that no one sees what's really going on inside your heart. That place within you where memories live, where regrets sleep, where love still lingers, where words were never spoken, but still ache to be heard. But my dear friend, this life isn't about being fully understood by everyone. And it doesn't need to be. The Buddha once said, "Be a light unto yourself. No one can walk the path for you." Understanding yourself, that's the light that never goes out, even when every other light around you fades. I remember one of my students, a man in his 60s. He had once been a successful businessman, surrounded by friends and colleagues. He had a busy calendar, a respected voice, a seat at the table. But after retirement, the phone stopped ringing. His schedule cleared. People stopped asking for his opinion. He told me, "Master, I feel like the world has moved on without me." I asked him, "You've spent your whole life showing up for others, haven't you?" He nodded. Then I asked, "But have you ever truly shown up for yourself? Do you even know who you are?" He fell silent. And then the tears came. You see, most of us spend our lives chasing one thing: to be seen, to be heard, to be loved. But how often do we stop and ask ourselves, what am I really feeling? What have I been running toward? And what do I truly need to feel at peace? Sometimes loneliness is not a curse. It's an invitation to return inward. No more noise, no more performing, no more trying to meet everyone else's expectations. Just you, with yourself. And if you're brave enough to sit still, even for a few minutes each day, you might begin to hear something sacred. That quiet voice that's always been waiting for you. The one that says, "I'm still here. Will you listen to me now?" In Buddhism, there's a practice called insight meditation, looking deeply within, with honesty, not avoiding, not judging. It's not always easy, because sometimes when we turn inward, we see pain. We see how much we've given without being understood. We see wounds that never fully healed. But here's the miracle. The moment you have the courage to sit with yourself, loneliness becomes stillness, and your pain starts to soften into light. I once taught meditation to an elderly woman. In the beginning, she told me, "Master, I don't understand how sitting in silence can help. The quieter I am, the lonelier I feel." But weeks later, she returned to me with a new smile in her eyes. She said, "Master, I finally realized something. I don't need anyone to understand me, as long as I understand myself." Let me be clear. I'm not saying you have to live alone. I'm simply saying, even if no one fully sees you, even if no one asks what's really in your heart, you can still be at peace. If you learn to sit with yourself, because knowing yourself is the first step to healing. To understand yourself is to know when to cry, and to know that crying isn't weakness. To understand yourself is to pause when you need to, without guilt. To forgive yourself for all the things left unfinished, and to smile because you're still here, still learning, still growing. The Buddha taught, one who does not understand themselves will always chase outside. But one who truly sees within, even without taking a step, has already crossed to the other shore. So if you're hearing these words right now, And if part of you feels like you're no longer understood, then I gently invite you, close your eyes for just a moment and ask yourself one question. What do I need today to feel at peace? The answer doesn't need to come from anyone else. It already lives inside you. It's in the breath you're taking right now, in the tear you allow yourself to cry, in the gratitude you still carry, even if no one sees it. You don't need to be fully understood to be worthy of love. You just need to become the kindest listener to your own soul. And when you do that, when you truly know yourself, you'll realize you're not truly lonely. You've just been waiting for yourself to come home. If these words have touched something in your heart, I invite you to spend just a little quiet time with yourself today. No phones, no explanations, just your breath, your presence, and the light within you, because you don't need anyone else to shine that light. You are the lamp, and that lamp has never gone out. One day, you catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror, and you pause, not because you haven't seen that face before, but because, in that moment, something quietly hits you. You're no longer the person you used to be. The skin isn't as smooth. The hair has turned silver. The eyes are softer. The hands, a little less steady. And you wonder, is this really me? A gentle sigh follows. I've sat with many people in their 60-second, 70-second, even 80-second, and I've heard them say the same things. I don't recognize myself anymore. I used to be so beautiful. Now all I see is old age. People look at me, but it's like they're looking through me. And I understand. Because we've all been raised in a world that tells us youth is beauty. Youth is value. Youth is opportunity. So when the body begins to change, it can feel like time is slowly taking something away from us. But today, I'd like to invite you to see it differently, not through the eyes of society, but through the eyes of wisdom. Because what if I told you that these changes on the outside aren't a loss, but a gift? Take a moment to think about it. Those fine lines around your eyes, they didn't appear out of nowhere. They were etched there by moments of laughter, like when you held your first grandchild and cried tears of joy. They came from sleepless nights by your child's bedside, from sunsets where you stood at the window, whispering thanks just for being alive. And the age spots, the dry hands, they aren't something to be ashamed of. They are maps of memory. Each mark is a reminder of love given, loss endured, patience learned, wisdom earned. I once met a woman in her 80s. By society's standards, she was no longer beautiful. But when she meditated, there was something extraordinary about her. A calm presence, a steady gaze, a smile that no longer needed the approval of others. I told her, you know, your skin may wrinkle, but a peaceful gaze that never grows old. She laughed and said, "You're right, Master. Aging may take the outside, but it gives you the eyes to see what truly matters." The Buddha taught, no form lasts forever, but a mind that lives in mindfulness never fades. So when your body begins to change, don't be so quick to label it as decline. Call it something else. Freedom. Freedom from the pressure to look perfect. Freedom from competition. Freedom from needing to be seen. You no longer have to make others like you. You no longer have to chase attractiveness. You just have to be fully present with a soft, generous heart that has walked through it all. There's a Zen story I love. An elderly woman once went to a Zen master and said, "Master, I'm old now. I used to be admired for my beauty, but now no one sees me anymore." The master said nothing. Instead, he walked her into the garden and pointed to a blooming cherry blossom tree. "This," he said, "is the kind of beauty young people love. Bright, quick, short-lived." Then he pointed to an ancient pine, twisted, rough, covered in moss. "And this is the kind of beauty only those who've lived long enough will understand. Grounded, silent, unshakable. It needs no approval." And the woman understood. True beauty isn't in how others look at us. It's in how we face ourselves. In the mirror, every day. Youth has its glow, but age has its depth. And only someone who's walked through enough storms can look at imperfections with compassion. You don't need to look young again. You just need to see the new beauty that's blooming in your self-acceptance. Yes, I know there will still be moments when you feel a little sad. Looking at old photographs, missing the energy, the glow of your younger self. That's okay. That's human. But when those moments come, gently remind yourself, I'm not the person I used to be, and I don't need to be. Because now, you have something youth never did. You know who you are. You no longer rush. And you've learned how to love without clinging. So, if today you feel like you're no longer beautiful, I invite you to sit with yourself and look again this time with gratitude. Touch each wrinkle as if touching the pages of a sacred book. Smile at your reflection because those eyes have witnessed so much. And whisper to yourself, I don't need to look the way I used to because I now carry a beauty that time can never take away. The beauty of presence, the beauty of compassion, the beauty of a light that shines from within. Have you noticed that the older you get, the slower time seems to move? The days aren't rushing by like they used to. Those frantic mornings where you couldn't even remember what you ate, what you said, or whether you truly lived at all. You're no longer racing from one thing to the next. No more endless checklists of what you must do, must achieve, must become. To some, aging may look like decline, but to me and to those who live with true mindfulness, aging is nothing short of a miracle. When we were younger, life felt like a wild horse. We rode at full speed, chasing careers, chasing money, chasing recognition, chasing roles, chasing responsibilities. And sometimes, we'd stop startled and wonder, where have I gone? What kind of life have I lived? Have I truly been there for my own days, or was I just passing through like a stranger in my own story? I once told a student of mine, just because you're moving fast doesn't mean you're living deep. It's only when life begins to slow down that we finally start to see what we've never seen. I've had mornings where I sat quietly on a wooden bench behind the temple, not because I had something urgent to do, but because there was nothing urgent left. Just sitting, just being, just listening. The birds, the wind rustling the trees, even the silence itself, like an old friend returning home. And in those moments, I realized something. Dharma doesn't only live in books, or sermons, or sacred texts. Dharma lives in the breath, in the light shining through a cup of tea, in a drop of dew still clinging to a leaf at sunrise. Old age becomes a doorway, a gentle opening into the depth of life itself. When you are no longer pulled in 1,000 directions by the world's demands, you begin to come home to yourself. You start to realize that a quiet afternoon is more precious than any grand celebration. You'd rather stay home and bake something simple than run out just to prove your worth to someone. You learn to listen, not to respond, but to understand. You know how to sit alone, not with loneliness, but with fullness. Someone once asked me, Master, how do I slow down? I smiled and said, It's not about trying to slow down. It's about truly showing up for the small things. When you wash a dish, just wash. When you sip your tea, just drink. When you look out the window, really look. Mindfulness isn't about doing something grand. It's about not missing your own life. And maybe right now, you're hearing this from a quiet room. Maybe you're retired. No more mountains to climb. No more ladders to chase. And maybe, just maybe, you've been wondering, do I still have value? Let me tell you gently and sincerely, your age is your treasure. You have time. You have depth. And most of all, you have freedom. The freedom to not have to prove anything anymore. Use these years not to keep pace with the world, but to finally listen to the rhythm of your own heart. There's a Buddhist saying I always share with my older disciples. One who lives mindfully, no matter their age, is still living with the spirit of youth. Old age is not the end. It is ripening. It is the season where wisdom no longer rushes, where compassion no longer demands anything in return, where presence itself becomes the greatest gift you can offer the world. So if you're walking slower these days, please don't be afraid. Don't feel like you're being left behind. Know this, you're finally beginning to see the things you once moved too fast to notice. The flowers are still blooming. The birds are still singing. Your heart is still beating. And this breath, yes, this one right now, is still an invitation to live a life that is gentle, deep, and real. If you've stayed with me to the very end, I believe there's a part of you that longs to live slower, to live deeper, to live truer. There's no rush. There's no need to be perfect. All you need is to be present. And if anything I shared today touched your heart, I invite you to leave a comment below. Tell us about a quiet moment you've experienced recently, even something small, because sometimes one small moment is enough to remind us we are still here and we are living deeply. And please, don't forget to subscribe to Buddhism Seeds, where every video isn't just a lesson, but a sacred pause to breathe, to return, and to remember who you really are. Click like. Share this with someone you love, someone who might also need to slow down. And let us walk together, mindfully, beautifully, fully present in this very moment. Thank you for being here. And may your day be peaceful, deep, and truly enough